Oh, hey guys. Fancy seeing you here. I need a pedalboard built. Can you possibly help?
Okay. Hey guys, welcome to That Pedal Show. Dan here.
Mick here.
And
Chris here.
Hello.
Right, pedalboard build day today. Chris has popped in. We've been talking about this for quite a long time.
Yeah.
We're going to do a whole G2 build with patch cables that I've not used before.
Never seen these before?
Yeah, pedal patch.
There'll be no pull my cable silliness going on today. It'll just be...
Go on, pull my cable.
So, first things first, we'll get the layout done. Then we will run the power, and then we'll run the audio on a bit of a time thing today, so we have to get on it.
Cool.
Alrighty? Okay,
Awesome.
let's do it. Okay, mate. First question, how much of what's on here is going on here?
All of it. No. We have the Trem, Boonar, Echorec, that. I've got a mini tuner, Fuzz, Cali 76, and the Hello Sailor, Rangemaster, and the King of Tone.
It's pretty much all of it.
Near enough.
Near
Yeah,
it. Okay.
I joke, but it's not
cool.
far off.
Okay, so the first thing we do when we're doing a new board is do the layout. I'll let you do the honours of taking the
amazing.
layout.
Been looking forward to this for a long time. I've had a newspaper cutout placed across the front of this pedalboard for the last couple of months. Just to plan this moment out. Ah, sweet. Look at that.
Alright.
It's amazing.
So first question, obviously this board is, it's not flat to the floor. So you're right with getting your feet to that, I'm assuming?
Yeah, oh, absolutely, yeah.
Okay,
Just-
because I guess you're used to stepping over and
Yeah, oh, definitely, yeah.
doing stuff.
No, that's awesome.
Okay, cool. Right, so first thing we need to do is layout.
This is 80% of this video is going to be me struggling to pull pedal off Velcro. So the Rotary Reverb.
Nice.
This is so sad ripping this apart. You wouldn't believe the Christmas day that was spent putting this together.
It's been a wonderful board.
It has served me well. It was an essential part of the journey.
Sure.
Is how I've sold it to my
Yeah,
wife.
yeah, there you go.
It's been a case of kind of whittling it down to the ones which
Yeah, sure.
I do use and the ones which I just wanted on there because they look pretty.
Yeah.
And I guess it gets to a point where you have so many overdrives and it looks like you put more thought into your game staging than you have your hairstyle. People start to question your life choices. So that's coming off. That is the most hideous looking pedal, and I don't think Hello Sailor would mind me admitting that, but it sounds great.
Okay.
It's obviously an old Boss kind of enclosure.
Okay, I see what it's done here.
But like I said, I can't vouch for its
Okay.
veracity apart from the way it sounds. But
Sure.
so that's everything off there that needs to come off.
Okay.
This is all going to fit on there, so that's fun.
Okay.
Fun, isn't it?
Anything that you need to get your feet at?
That's the only one I'm thinking is going to be out of a loop.
Okay.
Because I'm thinking we may need to save space on the amount of loops we have.
Okay.
And then since that's going to be first in the chain anyway,
Okay.
but because it's a fairly big old boy, I don't think that'll be too much of an issue.
Okay.
Stepping over the G2.
All right.
So, do you want me to show the way I kind of plan it
Yes.
out?
If you've already got a plan, then
'cause
show me.
It's probably a terrible plan, but it's a plan nonetheless, I guess. That's going underneath. Underneath, what was on top then? We had that. We had probably the Empress, but whichever, doesn't really matter. Say that's in there, that actually saves quite a bit of space, so I'm thinking that might not be a bad shout. It looks cool. Let's actually place that one first. We've just been having fun with that one. Looks may not be its forte, but it sounds pretty good.
I like the knobs,
Yeah, thank you.
Mrs.
Okay, right, there we go. So
Cool.
that's just okay. No, that's okay. That's
Pull it
okay.
over.
That's
I'll
all
hold on to it.
All right.
That Ceriatone Centura somewhere like there. We've got the Cali 76 somewhere, pretty much butted up against that, as tight as it'll go. Tell you what, I am missing one in my bag.
You got a TPS one.
Yes, I have.
You absolute legend.
Serial number 2.
Oh man,
It's going to be tight. Isn't
you've
it?
thought this through, but
Yeah.
it's really nice.
This is what happens when having no life.
Now, one of the issues
Yeah.
is now when I close this lid, you see these things here?
Right.
As they come down, watch what's going to happen to that knob.
Aha.
All right.
So that might need to come forward.
Just come forward a little bit. I'm not a fan of these sort of fittings on pedalboard cases, but that's okay. That's okay.
Clear it?
Yeah.
Cool.
You know what would be really cool with this? If this...
Just plug straight in the amp instead.
Let's not get crazy. We're sorted for layout now. I need to make sure that everything that needs Velcro on has Velcro on. We're going to do the power next, and then we'll start doing audio cables. And I'm going to show you guys how to properly test an audio cable as well. Cool.
Right.
Have you seen this trick?
No.
Boss pedal.
Right.
Take it off, flip it over.
Oh, no way. That's genius. Bloody hell. The amount of boss pedals I've had falling off my board over the years as well.
Things aren't going very fast here. I think you need some disco to hurry up.
Please, please, yep.
Actually, it's more like Frank Zappa, isn't it?
It is.
So one of the things that's important to remember when you're using cable ties, I'll put the cable ties on, and I'll with these little standoff, but I won't do them up completely. I'll run all the cables, and only when everything's tested, powered up and tested, and everything's happy, then I'll do the cable ties up tight and snip the ends off. But doing them like this, getting them in position, it just helps you run any cables that you need and get everything neat and tidy.
One of the things I find important about eating chocolate cake is to... It's Simon's birthday on Saturday. Happy birthday, Simon. And,
It was or is?
It's coming up, isn't it?
Oh, dude.
And his mum's made some awesome chocolate cake. So Dan's working hard. I'm eating chocolate cake.
Okay.
God, let me grew there.
So you finished the power and you're checking the power.
I am.
It's quite a complex one, this, isn't it?
It is surprisingly complex.
How many have you? I wasn't here for the first part. Have you said how many pedals there are in total?
There are 13.
13.
Yep. 2 of which are going before G2 and they're always on.
Yeah, which are
The Clon
Yeah.
and that's not always on, but
yeah,
Before that.
before.
yeah.
Um,
That's a fuzz, presumably.
Yeah.
okay.
Isn't it funny to see pedals that people's actually used, Dan, rather than just brand new out of the box?
I was apologising earlier for the state of them, the Madden Pubic hair stuff, remember?
Okay.
Reminds me, I must come to one of your gigs.
Yes, you haven't clearly haven't been to one, yeah.
Okay,
Beautiful.
so that's all working. So
You could see what I see. It's nice.
It's a thing of beauty, isn't it?
It is.
it's getting there.
The generator bone's connected to the distributor bone. The distributor
Very
bone's
good.
connected to another distributor bone. The distributor bone's connected to an isolator
Isolator
bone. The isolator bone's connected to lots of pedals bone. The distributor bone's connected to the doubler bone. The doubler bone's connected to the Cal
Time-
76 bone.
Time Lord bone. Oh, yeah, sorry, yeah.
Yeah,
Boonar's connected to the Time Lord bone.
yeah.
Yeah. I think that's it for bones.
Yeah, no more
I
bones.
think we're out of bones now.
It's just flesh now.
This is the last connection to make, and then we shall start doing audio, where everyone can help out
Yeah.
making audio cables.
We're going to build a campfire, sit around and make audio cables together.
So as you see here, well, like I was saying before, all the cable ties still undone because I'll still be using these for some of the audio paths as well. With the DC stuff, you can run audio and DC cables together. A little bit concerned about the AC being so close to the King of Tone, but we should be okay. We shall check and make sure. Time now to check out these cables. Right, we'll have a bit of a clear up before Nick starts throwing things at me. So we're using these pedal patch cables. This is the pin through the center of the braid type thing. A couple of rules of thumb. we're using these sorts of cables. Rule number 1. Okay.
If I was Danish Pete, I would have shouted bang as you did that. Literally, every time you plug something in, every time you cut something, any time you do anything, he will yell bang at the top of his voice. And every time it gets you.
Right, okay. I don't know if you can zoom in on this. One side of the cable is cut beautifully. It's very round and circular. This side that I've just used snips on, you can see it's oblong. So it's really important that you roll that around and make that circular. A little trick, find a flat table and you just use the handle of the scissors or whatever, just roll it.
Oh, this is good.
It's just dynamite.
Yeah.
Now, you need to check the cable. There's that center braid, you need to make sure isn't hanging over onto the edge of the shield. It's really important. Now these plugs have got a little Phillips head screw in them. Oh,
Come on.
let's go. We've got time to burn.
Mime is money.
Mine is funny. So the idea with these patch cables, there is a pin in the center here that goes down into the tip. George-L's, most of the solderless patch cables use this type of arrangement. That pin has to penetrate into the core of the cable, and then the outside, again, there's like a little circular protrusion that penetrates into the outside of the shield. Now, there's not a whole lot of space here. You have millimeters, so you need to be really precise. When you push this in, you need to make sure you're pushing it in straight and just push it in firmly. Okay, next thing, we're going to bend this cable over. You need to make sure that you're pushing in as you're bending the cable over so as not to pull the cable out. Thanks, sir.
There we go. I feel like I've contributed.
Continuing our Metallica theme, how do you know when the Sandman has entered?
I don't know.
It's not a joke. How do you know when this is made the connection?
Oh, so I'll show you. Right.
Because on my ones, I've got some free-to-tone ones, and it's possible to screw it in too far.
Sure. Okay. When you make these sort of patch cables, you absolutely have to test every one of them. And testing them is quite simple. You get your multimeter, you put it on the highest possible connection on the ohms side, because we're measuring resistance. So what I'm going to do, you see here, if I touch these, if I gingerly touch my tips together, it'll come up with a 0 reading, which means there is no resistance now between the tips. So first thing I need to do is touch the shield together, make sure that they're connected. Yep, great. Then I touch the tips together and make sure they're connected, and they are. But now it's really important that I measure between the tip and the shield. So you see that there is no resistance there. That means this cable is duff. This will not work. The shield is either bent over and now touching the inside of the tip. Yeah, so duff thing. We need to undo this now and check it out and see why it hasn't worked, and start again. You see here the inside, the pin, as the pin has pushed in against the center braid, it's pushed that over, touching the core. Now if I push this away from the outside, and I can see there that's not touching.
Yeah, so with no disrespect to pedal patch at all, well, with some maybe, when Dan and I bang on about Evidence Audio SIS and why they work and why they're so blooming expensive, this is basically why, isn't it?
Yeah. Once these are put together,
yeah, exactly,
they're generally fine, but putting them together can be a little bit finicky. All right. Let's try
the trouble is, how many of these have we got to make?
Yeah, about 30.
So 60 connections.
Yeah. Okay, good so far. that tests fine.
Yeah.
So we'll crack on. And
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's set up some sort of cable making factory then. Oh, that's so annoying.
So 1 is correct.
1 is correct. Cool. We have one?
We have 1.
We have a lead! Come
we
on!
have half a lead.
Oh. Okay. About face, about turn. We are going to use the Evidence Audio SAS system. After all, we're having a round robin table thing and we're just getting too many failures. We could have made it work, but we just don't have time today. We can get this done really quickly.
Yeah. It's 20 past 5.
Yeah.
Simon's got to go at 6, which means Catherine's in the filming chair when we go and plug it in. So we are up against it a little bit in time, so just going to do this because we can do it quickly.
Yep. Cool. Right, let's get it done. Okay, last time we spoke to you was a long time ago. It's now 10 to 7 now live. I am doing the last connections, the soldered connections to the input. Chris had already made this cable up and it's been working fine, so we're going to go with this one.
So we're on the last bit, aren't we? Before we can
We
go
are.
and plug it in.
About 5 minutes away from plugging it in.
So Dan, you've done the audio, finished all the patch cables, hardwired in the input and the output,
Yep,
and we're ready to go.
ready to go.
Okay, next time you see us, we'll be plugged in.
And we're back in the room. Okay, it's done. It's all happened. Chris hasn't heard anything yet.
Yeah, we've deliberately kept him out of the room while we just line checked everything just to make sure everything is working. So, Chris, let's start from the beginning. You've got 2 amps. You've got a Victory V140 and a V40 Deluxe.
Yep.
So how do you run those amps normally? Forget about pedals just for a second.
Normally, fully wet. Both have reverb, everything going into both.
Yep.
And it's, been like that for a good couple of months now.
So bearing in mind that your Centura is always on, and something else is always on.
There was the EP booster that was always on, but that hasn't made this.
So now just a Centura. So does it make sense to set you up with a core amp tone with the Centura and get you happy there?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah?
That's a good place
Okay.
to
Do
start.
that.
That's without it on.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about EQ from the core sound of the amps?
Sounds pretty good. Probably bring the output down very slightly on the. For a long time, I was running the Centura, so it's pushing the amps a little bit harder.
Right.
And just falling out of love with that a little bit. Like the sort of the tonal thing it does, the EQ kind of shift
Yeah,
as much as
yeah,
anything
yeah,
else,
yeah.
and not just pushing the amps harder.
Okay, so if you play with that. Nice. Nice.
We have a tremendous amount of reverb going.
There is.
So just play for a bit, Chris, and see how that feels just with the Centura and the 2 amps.
Very nice.
What are you feeling?
Happy.
Balance the amps okay?
Yeah, fantastic. Sounds great from what I'm stood. I mean, I'm getting more of the V40 probably because I'm sat in front of it.
Physically sat by
But
it.
yeah, but that sounds amazing.
Well, we can do that as we go.
It sounds, don't want to get in the cliched sort of response. It sounds cleaner than it used to. There's less happening and there's less going on between what I'm playing. So,
How does that make you feel, mate?
I'm assuming it must be a tone wood in the pedalboard. I don't know. So,
It is. It's because the pedal board's made out of Alder and ash.
yeah,
That's
it
what
is. Yeah, absolutely. No, that's the kind of straight away. That's the thing everyone kind of says about the G2, I guess, is that everything's cleaner, and it sounds 110%. There's just less mud, crud, and mud.
Very
Yeah.
interesting.
Well, and that is also testament too to the clon, because that there's so basically the signal is always buffered through that because the clon's on.
It's a Ceriatone Centura.
Sorry, Ceriatone Centura.
Just to make that clear.
Yep. But basically at the moment you're going to the clon straight to both amplifiers and there's nothing else.
No.
Yeah, we've got a bit of hum, haven't we? I think we're picking up a bit of hum off the lights.
Yeah,
Centura's
I've
picking up
unplugged
bit of
things and it's
hum.
just
What do you think that's coming from?
I think that's coming from.
Is it the proximity of the AC inlet to?
No, it might be. Let me just.
Yeah.
No, it's. Yeah.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Okay, probably lights and things like that. It's quite loud in here. We don't have the dB meter, but I can tell you that when Chris hits it, that's going to be registering about 100 compared to where we normally are.
Yeah.
So, should we get into some gain stages then?
Yep. Okay. Cool. So, number one is your. Let me get this right. The first one is.
First loop?
Yep.
Is the Snouse Black Box.
The Snouse Black Box. Okay. How would you set this?
See, the interesting thing is with this, same as the last pedalboard, when I bought the Blues Breaker, the Marshall one years ago, didn't really know what I was doing.
Okay.
So I put it first in the chain, even though I wanted it as a solo boost.
Right.
It's kind of like, cool, overdrive, there we go, new pedal, you go first. Didn't have a clue what I was doing, and it's always just been there, and I still use it as a solo boost, and it's more of a bit more gain and a little bit of volume. I guess I'm running the other pedals relatively clean. It's more of a gain stacking thing.
Okay.
So I guess there's still a little bit of headroom in them to give a little bit of a volume lift when I kick the black box in or the blues breaker or whatever. So this is actually the solo boost. So I would very rarely use this in isolation.
Okay.
But it's just a case of kind of setting it up to taste, I guess. So should we dial that in?
Yeah. So okay. So it's now on. Groovy.
Sweet. Awesome.
Okay.
So yeah, very sadly. It's the irony.
That's really interesting. 'Cause that's-
Irony of having a million different overdrive pedals all set to sound exactly the same. This was the kind of journey. We were speaking about this a little bit earlier. The old board was part of the process of sort of figuring out which ones were used, which ones I just stuck on there because I could, and sort of slowly whittling it down. It's been a journey, man. But as we were talking about earlier, it's that kind of thing of not wanting to be Billy Big Bollocks turning up at the thing with the big ostentatious board,
It's a really interesting trend that I think we've reflected on that in a couple of vlogs and things where you just feel a bit embarrassed by a huge board. When it's your own gig and your own thing and your own band, it's a different thing. Do what you want.
Yeah.
But turning up to a jam or something with it just feels a bit odd, doesn't it?
Yeah,
and even you've been feeling that.
No,
as well.
absolutely. It's just a little bit ostentatious. It's a bit kind of, here I am, I've arrived.
Yeah.
Make way for the board, and
Make way for the board.
make way for the board. So it's kind of been paring it down a little bit. But again, as I said earlier, it's just that kind of cliche of not wanting a million different overdrives.
I'm
He says.
I'm sat here like this, holding the lid because we have to keep going up and down.
Keep flipping.
Yeah. All right. So number two.
Is going to be the Cali 76.
Okay.
That Pedal Show Special Edition.
There
Cali
you
76.
go.
Ah,
There you
nice.
go.
So serial number 2.
I'll just tell the story again that Chris was the first ever person to buy a That Pedal Show t-shirt from the That Pedal Show store.
Isn't that amazing?
The first one we ever sold. We didn't know Chris at that time, so Chris, thank you.
No, pleasure, mate.
You should be like Chris.
Absolutely. No, it's, we were talking about earlier, it's kind of, I get an immense amount of enjoyment out of this. I'm not just someone who sort of manages to pop up on you every now and then, but actually watches it week in, week out. So
Bless you.
it's cool.
It's a big deal for us.
Yeah,
It's
it is.
a
Come on
very,
in.
very cool thing for me.
Compressor,
All right, so
how
compressor.
do you use your Cali 76?
So everything straight up. again, most of these pedals get used to how they've come out of the box. Everything's straight up, aside from the output, or the out as it's labelled, which is backed off very slightly.
Yeah. When we were line checking this earlier, it was really loud.
Really loud.
Yeah. It's, yeah.
So this is without it.
Probably even come down slightly more. That's another thing. These pedals suddenly seem a hell of a lot louder than they did before.
Who said that? Matt Schofield said it. Kurt Fletcher said it. I'm sure more people have said it. That when you put decent power and a good switcher in,
seems like they're working more efficiently.
Yeah.
Everything gets louder, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
interesting.
There's more. Yeah. Sweet.
What do you use the Cali 76 for, Chris? Is it for the front of the note? Is it for the end of the note? Is it for all of the notes?
For all of the note. No, it's a kind of lazy thing, to be honest, and I feel bad. I've refrained from getting a compressor for a very long time, and then you watch people like Josh Smith talking about, I'm trying to keep compression out of any stage of my rig, and then this me going, I just want it to sort of make me feel. Was it you? One of you said the phrase "sonic yoga mat." It's that kind of. Maybe
I wish I'd said that.
It is, isn't it? It's like a little. It's like a little pillow. It's like a little cushion, just to make you feel like you're not alone.
That's lovely.
And you're having a better night than you probably actually are.
The difference between you and Josh Smith, though, is that Josh Smith plays at like insane volume.
Yeah.
And Matt Schofield too, and so for those guys, they don't like the compression because
it's happening.
It's happening.
Yeah, exactly.
But as we've discussed this many times, your stage volume is being forced down the same as everybody else's, and I think perhaps that's where you get some of that dynamic back.
Definitely.
Is that fair?
It gives that sort of very slight sag, I guess, in the note, which makes it feel like the amps are just working a little bit harder than they probably are. Makes everything feel a little bit more cushioned and a little bit more kind of spongy and lovely under the fingers, rather than having to work that bit harder. So.
And would you use that in conjunction with anything else?
That's where the laziness comes in. That's kind of becoming an always-on jobby.
Yeah.
Unless I'm using humbuckers. If I'm using PAFs or something like that, I'll turn it off just because it's sort of, I don't think it needs it so much. But again, no doubt the laziness will sort of spread over time, and it'll be an always-on thing. So that kind of thought about that earlier, whether that even needed to be in a loop. But Cali 76 is a great pedal. It is a little bit noisy on occasion, so to have the
nice to have
have the option to turn it on.
Yeah, it's an interesting. I don't know if it's a misconception or whether it's actually true to say that it's noisy. It's amplifying all the noise.
Yeah,
what it's doing
absolutely. Yeah,
because of the nature of what it does as a compressor.
Definitely. It kind of makes everything louder.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's no signal going through, and it's going. Oh, I need to make this louder.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
That was my impression of a compressor.
It's very good as well.
Okay, number 3 is the King of Tone.
It is.
Okay.
Now again, in sort of tried and tested fashion of setting all the knobs in one direction.
Oh, that's exactly how I set on mine as well.
Yeah. Everything at 2 o'clock is always the best way to set most pedals.
Sort of faces back towards Wales. That's instead of Mecca, it'd be my stag or something. Something like that.
It's the valley setting.
Yeah, exactly. Something like that always sounds pretty good to me. So, hey, sorry, reverb. We are again a lot louder than we used to be. So maybe back those off a little bit. Beautiful.
Gorgeous.
Stick the Cali on with that just for a sec, can you, Dan?
Yep. So.
It's that sponginess. It's easier to play when the Cali's on.
Yeah.
But it's hidden now, so no one need know. So.
Awesome.
Cool.
Awesome.
Oh,
Okay,
wow, that sounds awesome.
we're getting there.
Cleaner than it was. It's just less crap going on.
Yeah,
Sweet.
that's the plan. Okay,
Alright.
so number 4, we have
The VS Audio Straight Flush from Greece. This was the kind of...
another blues breaker.
It is, yeah. How can you guess? This was the kind of condensed version of the Royal Flush, I think they make,
Okay.
which is like one half of it.
Yeah.
Kind of King of Tone derived, I guess, which
Okay.
in turn is, from what you read, is
Okay.
Blues Breaker derived. So it's all kind of coming back from that pedal, which ironically is one of the few pedals which hasn't made this board, is the actual Blues Breaker from the old one, which
Wow.
this is the one I sent you, and I'm sure you found this out. It's a fantastic pedal,
Quiet.
as long as you don't look at it, try and touch it,
Yeah.
or kind of not give it a nice amount of forewarning that it's going to be turned on.
So the really interesting thing about that pedal is it's so interactive.
Yeah.
You know, one knob completely affects. you
Oh,
know-
the original old.
The original
Yeah,
old
yeah,
Blues Breaker.
the big scratchy one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we've got ours here, have we?
No, we don't. It's somewhere.
Oh, you've got one, have you?
No,
Yeah,
we do have one somewhere.
yeah, there's
it's in that
Exactly.
that type chassis.
sure.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
Badger.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
But
a governor,
actually
is it?
the Blues Breaker.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's in that kind of chassis with the Blues Breaker, the original.
That's a
one.
cool pedal as well. The original governor. That's like a
Yeah.
JSM 800 in a box.
And seeing as we're on a tangent, and we're talking about Blackbox, Josh actually, when he came to visit us,
Yeah, I dropped him off in Bath that morning and told him to find his own way down on a train. Bless him.
he brought us this
Yes, he
Didn't
did.
he?
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
as a gift.
The Drive
Bless
Master.
him.
He's a man with many pedals.
He is.
An exceptional taste in footwear.
Good bloke.
As are you, Christopher.
Wow. I do my best. I need a new pair, to be honest. These are getting a bit raggedy around the edges. So
I think we should hook you up with one of those American
Yeah.
cowboy boot
Yeah.
companies and get you a
That's,
deal.
That's who you want to be endorsed
Brad Paisley's
by.
got
It
a
is,
whole
no, my
line of
pedals
that
all
stuff
guitars.
throughout.
Oh, really?
Like all across America, like boots, hats, shirts.
Dude,
Oh, no way.
at Bon
Western
Jovi,
way.
right? There's half the advertising from the show before is John Bon Jovi's clothing brand,
Oh, no way.
Heart and Dagger, I think it's called. Yeah, so they're all into it.
Yeah, let's do it.
T-shirts available at thatpedalshowstore.com.
Chris Buck signature cowboy boots soon.
On the way, on the way.
Yeah.
Okay, so how would you set this one?
I set that one. So you can't really tell it's on.
Okay.
Let's have a look. See again, talking about snapping of knobs earlier. Knob missing. I snapped the knob off my Rev Star accidentally in a flight, so I didn't do it. I snapped the knob off this, the tone knob. So it's a bit scratchy, but 80% of the show is going to be reverb trails.
That sounds killer.
Mega.
Good pedal. That
Yeah. It's chewy.
it is, yeah, chewy,
It's
yeah.
It's compressed
Yeah.
differently.
So
Yeah.
that is probably going to get a lot of use in conjunction with the King of Tone. See, on the old board, that was the job of the Tim,
Yeah.
Right.
which I very much liked, but no way, shape, or form was that going to fit on here because it's about 17 foot tall as well, as much as anything else. That was the one I ran over, I told you about earlier. And it was in a soft gig bag as well at the time, bless it, but only the boost switch, a bit of dust. So yeah, that's going to be kind of with the King of Tone, I guess. So
Let's hear that.
Yeah. Cool. That's probably very slightly more gainy than I would have, but this is the thing again, at gig volumes, everything tends to be a little bit less gainy than I was
Yeah.
probably expecting, so we could probably back the gain off on that slightly, but again,
this one?
on the VS, yeah.
I mean, I get it's going to take you a while, isn't it, to go through the board
Oh, yeah,
and set up
absolutely, yeah,
sounds
yeah.
and stuff.
Especially when everything's suddenly louder than it was before. You know,
Yeah,
not
it's
in
really
there.
interesting what you say about when you get to gig level, you need less gain.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Just
Just-
try that for us.
Yeah, still
Less
probably slightly less. Tell you what, keep them both on if you want and play while.
Yep. So I just want to hear. Let's hear just this by itself for a second.
Yeah.
So that's both of them.
Oh, is
now.
it? Yeah. Sure, it sounded even better if I was in tune. Cool, that's getting there, absolutely.
You can tune.
I can tune. Look at that. I was in tune when I bought it. Never gets old, does it, Alan?
It never literally
Legs
gets
left
old.
in that joke, yeah.
For anyone who didn't follow that joke, it was in tune when I bought it.
It's audio description for the Welsh.
I bet there are people that have taken guitars back to shops going, it's out of tune.
Oh,
I bet
absolutely.
that's happened in history.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
Tidy.
5.
Dan's keen. Dan wants to get on.
Oh, well, there's a lot to get through. It's been a big day, and any rumbling that you hear is my tummy.
Ah, I see.
It's 8 o'clock.
Is it
Nice
really?
late.
Oh, wow,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
In the evening.
No, don't be daft. It's been awesome. Okay, but 5, I believe, is the gunshot.
Have we run out of overdrive pedals?
I believe so.
Have I got that few overdrive pedals? Man, this is a achievement. It probably is the gunshot, yes,
All right.
which looks as though it is on full blast at the minute.
Okay.
The gunshot is going to be my kind of rock box pedal.
Right.
And probably not for use with single coils. Can I change guitars
Yes,
very quickly?
yes.
We've got a tune on. Sweet. Yeah, so this is going to be the kind of the one or two more kind of gainy moments in the set, I guess.
Okay.
Cool, man. That's it. That's the one.
Superb.
It's a great pedal in that
it's
one.
killer.
It's kind of, like I said, it's the sort of rock box thing.
Is that the one with the bias knob?
Yes.
It is. That was the
Yes.
scratchy.
Yeah.
First
yeah.
that we.
So it's biased quite low at the moment.
Yeah.
Or at least it's at a low level of the bias knob, which means it's not as
we
gainy
tried
as
turning
it-
that up.
it
I don't
would
really
normally
play
be.
with that one all that much.
Okay.
Tried. Cool. It's probably again more gain than I would use for a little bit, but
Yeah. I always think about it. It always seems to get chewier and sort of harmonically richer
Yeah,
when
yeah.
you move that around.
oh, absolutely. But it's a very cool pedal. So yeah, that's the humbucker one.
How on earth have we run out of gain stages?
Well, no,
I know.
we haven't yet. We've still got one to go,
Oh, have we?
and we haven't tried the fuzz, which is before everything else.
Oh,
as
so
well.
there are
Oh,
still
yeah,
two
yeah,
more
yeah.
then. We
Yes,
haven't-
there are.
Yeah.
So this is the treble booster.
It is.
Okay.
Is that not the most hideous pedal you've ever seen in your life?
Ah,
It's quite hideous.
It is. It's the colour sets it off, I think.
Yeah.
No, it's very cool. Hello Sailor FX got in touch with me a couple of months ago and offered to send me. It's his kind of version on a Rangemaster. So I was kind of intrigued on two levels, to be honest. I don't think you would mind me saying that the looks of the pedal are quite unique.
Looks suspiciously like a boss enclosure.
It
as
does,
well.
doesn't it? That's strange.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, he sent me a pedal through, a picture of a pedal, and I was just intrigued as to see it couldn't possibly sound like it looked. So the colour of it was sort of what you could only sort of describe as like a prawn burst, like a salmon kind of jobby.
There you go, Gibson. That's what you should be doing.
Exactly, prawn burst.
Prawn burst.
Authentically prawn.
Well, fish authentic.
So Yeah, I got it off him and was absolutely just blown away by it. It's such a great sounding pedal. And in this sort of scenario, it's going to be the kind of more louder thing.
The booster.
Yeah, booster.
Nice.
So never used in isolation.
Sure.
Yeah.
But kind of, conjoined with other stuff. So let me grab
Can you help me out here? So there's this.
Yeah.
And there's this.
Yeah, so that's the one that works. The
Right.
one on top. That does nothing as far as I can tell. So, to be fair to him, he sent me the big one, which was infinitely kind of more complete than that. And then I got back in touch saying, "It sounds amazing. It's too big. Can you condense it slightly?" And he turned that around in about 3 days. So
Oh,
I don't.
I see. Okay.
So I don't think that's going to be the kind of final
not the production
enclosure.
version.
No.
Right.
I think Boss would probably have something to say about it if it were. But if I can switch guitars really quickly. See, I'm getting the hang of this. 14. I knew that was
Nice.
a tuner.
So he's a natural. While he's changing guitars, Dan's set everything up in Stompbox mode at the moment, so it's on and off, on and off. And after this video, I would imagine Chris will probably spend some time setting up presets.
You'd think, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Me brain no work so good with all of this sort of stuff, so it'll be interesting. There's going to be a couple of things where I think I would probably get used out of presets. We'll see how far we get.
Yeah, or even a combination of things where you've got your basic gain stage. I mean, that's the way you use it, isn't it? You have your basic gain stages set up, and then you switch in your wet effects on top of that.
Yep.
Yeah,
Absolutely. We haven't even got the wet dry bit yet.
No.
No. We're
Let's
getting
get
there.
up along
We're
to
getting
that
there.
because I'm quite excited about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, right, the Rangemaster. So, how would you set that?
How is it set at present? We've got that there. Probably. I don't know. We'll see how we get on.
Okay.
So what I'm thinking. Let's have a look. So, which was the King of Tone? King of Tone
3.
was 3. We'll have the Cali on as well.
That is beautiful.
So again, in isolation, it's subtle.
Sorry. Doesn't sound like a Rangemaster that I would associate with
No.
it. It's much fuller sounding.
Yeah.
Presumably, this is some sort of bass cut, is it?
It is, yes.
Yeah. And we took it to less bass.
I assume so, yeah. The switch on the other one was configured slightly differently, so I didn't know where that was going to be set.
Yeah, I'm
to be
sorry I
honest,
spoiled
but,
your settings halfway
No,
through. I
it
just wanted to
sounded
hear
better.
it.
Whatever you did, it sounded better. So, put my boots on your table.
Mate, boot away.
Cool, that sounds great. So that, like I said, that's the kind of more giving me volume.
Lush.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so now we're getting into wet dry stuff. So, let's hear this.
Fuzz. So again, I struggle with fuzz pedals on their own. It's a
Right.
bit kind of serrated,
Yep.
angry kind of thing. So I tend to stack that with something a bit more mid-humpy.
Okay.
Like the King Tone, probably like the VS Audio, like the kind of whatever really. I guess any of them on there are fairly kind of mid-range voiced. So let's have a look. So yeah, it's that kind of thing. Whatever that means.
It's funny, he's going, me and Dan are going,
It's just a bit harsh for me. So that with maybe the King of Tone, which was 3.
Yep.
Sweet. Yeah, that's the on-off switch. Nice, man.
That was nicely worrying our preamps as well, which makes me happy.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So loop 7, we have
The Supro Trem, I think.
Okay, Chris. You've not done wet dry before.
No.
Have you ever played a wet dry rig before?
Don't think so. Maybe very briefly yours down in Brighton, but yeah, very, very, very briefly.
Play something you like.
Cool.
Get up a semi-gainy sound or whatever. So whatever you like. And Daniel is going to switch on the Supro Tremolo part the way through.
2. That is amazing. That's amazing. Do you know what that reminds me of? You know when you're running amps out of phase, or an amp is out of phase, and it gives you that weird, the sound's coming from all around me,
Right.
but it's horrible at the same time. Gives you that kind of,
This is not going well.
yeah, no. No, when an amp is kind of running out of phase, you get that faux 3D sound kind of thing, but you know you can't use it. That's like that, but you can use it.
Well, because it's harmonic trem, there is a phase relationship going on,
Yeah,
so it
yeah.
is coming in and out.
Oh, not just that, it's 3D all of a sudden.
Massive,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah. Oh,
and
man.
then switch some delay in on top of that, Dan. Let's have a listen
Grab
to...
the Echorec probably.
which is in
That's sharing one with that at the minute, so it'll be the last but one. So
Okay.
9 more
Yep.
likely. That's amazing. It's just huge.
it's massive, right?
Wide and kind of lush.
Do you think, will that sit in the band? Is it too massive for the band?
Oh, I'll make it sit in the band. Don't worry. No, not at all. I mean, I guess the sort of proximity of the amps as well is a kind of big part to do with that. And they're never going to be. I'm never going to set one up over behind the drum kit as a surprise, you know. So they're always going to be there behind me. So I guess it's a little bit more controllable. But no, absolutely. I mean, it's kind of what I've been doing, but just more defined and more.
Yeah.
It's not getting lost much, especially when I use enough reverb to take down a large mammal. It just helps keep things a little bit more defined, and you've got that clarity that wasn't necessarily there before. So
just
what's-
for the record, if you switch something wobbly on, Dan, for a sec, can you? Wet.
okay.
Dry, right.
And just
Yeah.
for a second, just play something. This is the dry sound, and I will switch the wet amp on while you're playing.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's wet.
That's just
Just
wet.
wet. There you go.
And there you go. Dad just play that same thing.
You couldn't get away with that much delay just with the wet amp.
No,
No, exactly.
no.
So you can have more moisture.
Yep. Because they have the dry amp,
Yeah.
you get all the clarity's there, and the wet just sort of sits on top of it.
Yeah.
The other great thing,
I guess you can then mix that into taste in terms of like volume of the amp.
absolutely. But the other great thing with a wet dry rig like this, you can set it up on stage.
Yeah.
What sounds great for you, but then the sound guy has got control over how much wet is coming out the front. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the next question that comes up always is, how does the sound engineer then mix that? Well, it's up to them.
Yeah.
Normally, it's straight down the middle because it's two parts of the same sound. It wouldn't make any sense to pan it left and right.
No,
really.
that's right. It's just in parallel.
Unless there was something you were doing for a specific effect. But yeah, just straight down the middle.
Guess that gives sound engineers a chance to kind of dial in the room a little bit more.
Yeah,
in terms of how,
exactly.
how much of
Exactly.
that is actually needed.
And
So
also, in terms of you on stage, you might like it really wet on
Yeah,
stage,
yeah,
but that's
yeah.
not working for the front of house
house,
quite
yeah.
so well, or vice versa.
I was so venue dependent in it. Reverb is the
Absolutely.
most noticeable.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that has always, especially when I had umpteen overdrive pedals, the reason I was never overly concerned with having presets is I would use different overdrive pedals for different venues.
Sure.
Because it's a very first world problem that different overdrives would suit different venues better, and you find you need different levels of gain, yada yada. It's never been a case of one sound, all gigs. So you're right there. So yeah, just so having
God, it's
that.
contagious.
Exactly. I was going to say it's working its way across. It'd be me next. I don't think there's any fear of that actually. Yeah, that kind of amazing. That's just otherworldly, man.
You're happy.
Oh, ecstatically so.
Wonderful.
Can I try the Supro and the Echorec are sharing a loop.
They are.
So if we whack the thing off, sweet. Level. You just couldn't get away with that level of delay before.
No.
Oh man.
I dialed in a tiny bit of tremolo on your dry amp.
Oh, did you?
Have a listen to that. Just have a listen to that.
That's the like Bonamassa Duber, innit? Amazing.
There you go.
That's just so much fun. It's like surround sound. It's sort of, I've gone from hearing it in 2D to 3D.
Right.
My eyes have been open.
I'm fascinated to hear your reaction once you get it in the band,
Yeah.
and whether that is actually usable in a band context, or whether it's too much and it's too massive, or
No,
whether
I
it's
think-
not, and etc. How you get on with it.
Like you said, the main concern, I think, within the band context is level.
Yeah.
Of just sound engineers, I think, for good or for bad, are kind of wanting things quieter on stage, which is fair enough, I guess, to have more control of them out front. And my sort of argument to that is I absolutely detest hearing my guitar through monitors.
Yep.
Because it doesn't sound like a guitar. It sounds like, I don't know, being a can is the obvious one, but it just doesn't sound anything like what's coming up behind you. So my contention has always been, well, let me get to a point where I'm happy with on stage, And the way that usually goes about is just getting Bob, you know, the drummer in Buck and Evans, to kind of just play a groove. Me and you play nothing, no front of house, no monitors, no anything. If I can get to a point where I'm happy, then
go for your life.
I'll be happy for the rest of the gig, really.
Yeah.
And if you know, if we can avoid having it in the monitors, great. If we have to, then you know, woe betide the engineer. But yeah, it's kind of, I mean, it's gig dependent as well. When we're lucky to have our own engineer who understands that, and if you're fighting against someone who doesn't really get that, then it's going to be a long night. So it's kind of worth keeping people on side. Would be the caveat, as much as the temptation is to kick back and, you know, do a
that's a very good
Carey,
point.
so.
That's a very good point.
I'd be interested to hear how, if this rig makes a difference in that scenario. So whether the sort of slightly big, because it is a bigger sound when you go wet dry, it's a bigger, wider sound. Whether that is a benefit at lower volume.
That as volume, in a
Potentially,
sense,
or you can kind of sit in the sound a bit more, maybe.
Yeah,
because the logical thing would be, hang on a minute, 2 amps, that's going to be much louder. That's just stupid in a low stage volume environment. But actually, it might just be bigger, not necessarily louder.
That in itself is the issue. I think people see you turning up with 2 amps,
and
it's like, it's going to be the loudest thing in the world. And it's not. It's really not about volume. If anything, it gives you opportunity to be slightly quieter, I think.
I've always thought that,
because it's a bigger sound, it's a wider sound. It's kind of suddenly in stereo a little bit, literally in this case. So, oh man, thank you so much. That's been.
Oh mate,
I appreciate it. It's an immensely long day.
No, it's great. It's totally worth it. I'm wanted to build you a rig for so long.
Yeah, been wanting to get you here for a while.
You saw the state of the last one. That I did myself. That was the thing.
Well, you know, but you did great, and I think that board, that board served you well for a long time. You did.
Yeah. And every clip I ever see of you playing anywhere, it always sounds awesome. So let's not gloss over that. Just very, very briefly before we wrap, why have you got 2 Echorec-style pedals?
Because tone. No, reason being, the Echorec, the actual Echorec, does a very specific job. I played a bit of it earlier. This track called Slow Train, with the Buck and Evans set, which is as such what loop we're in. For that, I tell you what, I need to turn that off as well.
Right.
So we need, the tuner's on at the minute. So can we have?
Keep going, that's lovely.
That's the smile of a man who's very wet. That's amazing. It's like, it makes me sad that that's not gonna. It'll translate to YouTube to a certain extent.
Yeah.
But that it's a sort of.
Well, you've heard
immersive
our wet dry thing all the time, but actually being here, experiencing
it's
it's a
another
whole
level.
different thing. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's it's all around me.
So you use the Catalinbread one for that specific sound.
Yep.
And then
sorry.
you use you use the Dorna Prince one for.
That is my kind of stick it on under solos.
Yeah.
And just kind of pad everything out quite nicely. So
Well, I think that would be a good place to leave it, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I think we should sign out, Daniel, and we should let Chris blow our minds with some solo Boonar sounds.
Awesome. Brilliant. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe and then, click the bell.
Click the bell.
Apparently, it's
do
what
all
you're
the
doing
things
now.
that you should do.
As we've said once or 5 times in the video, thatpedalshowstore.com is where you can get t-shirts. Be like Chris. Grab a t-shirt. Also, massive thank you to our preferred retailers in the UK and Europe is.
Anderson's Music of Guildford and Surrey.
In the US of A is.
Would be Riff City Guitar.
And in Australia is.
Would be Pedal Empire of Brisbane, Queensland. And don't forget to go to buckandevans.com.
Yes.
Is that the correct?
It is, yeah. We've got a couple
of,
depending on when this will go out, we've got a couple of tour dates left.
Buy his records.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. It'll be coming out later in the year officially. So it'll be,
And you do have vinyl.
We do have vinyl, yeah.
Nice.
So,
and finally, massive thank you to all of our patrons on Patreon. Thank you, guys. We literally couldn't do it without you. So thank you so much. So we're going to let you leave you in Chris's more than capable hands.
Awesome.